Okay, we're back, and we have with us today Randi Coopersmith from Latitude 33 Planning and Engineering. Did I say that right?
You sure did.
Good. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about what Latitude 33 does.
Well, we do land planning, government entitlements, and civil engineering. We just celebrated our 20th anniversary, and that may not sound as exciting as owning a restaurant, having people eat at your bar. But
I know, hard to go after Eric, right?
It is.
Keeping it sexy.
But I can assure you it is. We get to work on the biggest and most interesting projects in San Diego and Southern California. And we've been lucky enough to have an amazing group of clients, and a lot of the buildings that people shop in and live in and go to school are the buildings we've worked on.
Wow.
Projects. So that's great.
Well, how about some examples?
Well, one example is UCSD. We're the campus engineers for the entire campus. Same thing at USD. We did the Grand Del Mar for Mr.
Beautiful.
Manchester, which was just rated the #1 hotel in the country. We're doing a number of master plan communities. One called Pacific Highlands Ranch, just east of Carmel Valley, which is, maybe you don't know now, it's going to be the most incredible master plan community in San Diego.
Really?
It's
Really?
absolutely,
That's right around the corner from my place.
it's fantastic.
Wow.
Wow. Okay. That's a wide variety of types of projects. Did you always, from universities to hotels to residential? I mean, it seems like most people typically, companies like yourself, would focus on commercial or residential.
One
Well-
segment versus.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's, I think the key to our company's success is our diversification. When the economy goes south in the private sector, you can't depend on the private sector. So years ago, we decided we needed to diversify. We got into healthcare, higher education in a big manner. We got into public works, working for government agencies, and it's been the hallmark of our success. And we basically work on all the above, and I think diversification has been really important to us.
Yeah, to talk about that is one thing, but to see some of these awards, that's a whole nother one. So you have the Gold Nugget Best Residential Project in 9 Western states, Alta Del Mar. Well, all I have to do is, I guess, talk about Grand Del Mar itself, huh?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So, well, my hat's off to you. So, how did you get here? How did you get started? How did this all come about?
well, I did my my education in geography and urban planning,
Uh-huh.
and originally wanted to serve the underserved. So I went into government, worked for the city of San Diego for a little bit, and then went to the city of Escondido, was assistant planning director when I was 29 years old. Loved it, and then I met some friends that own an architectural firm that needed to start planning, and they seduced me over to come. I became a partner there, one other firm, and then I started my own firm with my partner John Eardenson in 1993 in the last recession, and we have been having a ball since then.
Great.
You got to be some kind of risk taker to start a business in the middle of a recession,
Yeah.
particularly involving, construction, right?
You do, but I think, believe it or not, in retrospect, starting something when the economy really is south, you get your act together, and so when it booms, you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I think if you surround yourself with smart people, and I think one of our business approaches is that we provide, first of all, we provide planning and engineering, which is different than most of our competitors. They usually provide one or the other. But we go after legacy clients. Every job that we have is not a job, it's a client that we're going to keep for life and repeat, and we treat everybody like that, and our staff does, and it's been an amazing opportunity for us.
That's great.
So it's
That's
worked.
great. So now I also see you're doing work on a high school student mentoring program.
Yes.
So how does that work?
Well, that's an interesting story. I had a partner, one of my original founding partners, that was actually murdered in Tijuana on New Year's Eve 6 years ago, and he was heavily involved in it. And we've taken over that as a charity, and we've been involved in mentoring high school kids that want to get into our profession. And it's been very rewarding, and a tribute to my ex-partner, Keith Keeter, who was an incredible guy.
Wow.
Miss him.
Fantastic.
Wow.
That is,
Yeah.
that is. Now I have to ask you a question. This is kind of a little bit offline, but I'm going to do it anyway. We're talking to some other people about taking this show on the road to doing some promotions at some local high schools, try to show the kids how to give back. Can we talk you into attending with us?
Absolutely.
Don't you love it how I put people on the spot on the air?
Well done. I like it.
No, it's a great cause, and the kids today are our future. What's amazing, more than half my staff is under 30. So we've got to figure out how to work with the next generation. and the high school kids are coming up after that. So would be a great opportunity.
Well, I have a 16-year-old and a 13-year-old, so I can tell you the exact way how to do it. Just turn around and create a program on Xbox that teaches them to do it.
I'm not sure I could do that.
I don't even know what Xbox is, really.
okay.
That's a good video game, right?
So
I'll take your advice.
Kids today.
Yeah. So tell them, any great stories? Any other stories on any of your projects?
Well, I'd say every one of them is
Every
interesting. Any land that's left has controversy, and very few people want it to occur. It doesn't matter. We work on the Salk Institute.
Wow.
We've worked on major campuses. We've worked for churches, residential projects, and it's always the same. They're glad they're there, but there's too much traffic. They don't want you to destroy what's there. And I would say everyone is interesting, but when you get done, everybody loves it. So it's an interesting dichotomy of how that happens.
What is the biggest challenge that you face? Is it trying to match clients' expectations with a realistic outcome? Is it maneuvering through the bureaucracy of different agencies and trying to bring people together?
That's got to be a challenge.
Yeah, that's got to be a challenge.
Or environmental issues.
Right.
Yeah, I would tell you the design of a project and working with a talented team of architects or traffic engineers and landscape architects is the fun and easy part. We know how to do that all day, and that's incredible. The challenging part is working it through the communities and the politics and the bureaucracy. There's way too many rules and regulations, and I have a lot of friends in the public sector, and I keep telling them, don't tell me why I can't do it. Let's come up with ways we can do it, because we're all trying to achieve better education, better hotels, and better schools, and housing, and how do we do it? And that's a concept that I don't think is appreciated.
That's a great lesson for our kids. To teach them always that glass half full theory. Not how it can't be done, but how you can change the future.
It's an approach and a philosophy, and I think it's people need to have that.
Yeah.
And I would imagine also that a client would really need somebody who would know how to, if they can't, overcome an obstacle, how to at least go around it, right, and make it happen in spite of some roadblocks.
Well, you have to, because most of my clients are going to be long-term participants in a community, and they don't just do a project and then leave. They're going to be there and they own it for a long time, so you have to leave with goodwill and good feeling. So you have to come up with compromise and have people understand your position and truly understand theirs. And I think we've been able to do that for our clients, and we've been lucky enough to have an amazing group of clients.
Yeah, you have. You're listening to Close Up on San Diego Business here on KFSD AM 1450 and financialnewsandtalk.com. I'm your host, Barry Waxler, here with my co-hosts, Andrea Kay and Urban Miaris, and our guest, Randi Coopersmith from Latitude 33. So, Latitude 33.
I love anything related to construction and engineering, and I'm curious, it's not something that you hear a lot of kids say, when they're 8, when I grow up, I want to be a land planner.
How'd that happen?
Yeah, how'd that happen? You said it was early on in your life you got fascinated by that. What was the exposure is that why you're giving back to high school students? Because somebody exposed you to it. Go back to your origins.
In third grade, I was in the geography club, and I've always been amazed with this planet that we have.
Wow.
And I've always been amazed with cities and people building things. And I got into college, and I started taking urban planning and geography, which is the study of those. And then you add the politics and the people, and I don't think there could be a more fascinating career. I mean, you get built, you deal with people, and a lot of the private people I deal with are just so high energy and make it happen kind of people, very creative. So, again, I've dreamed of doing this, and I can't believe that I'm lucky enough to do it, and just a great group of clients.
What's next on the horizon? Besides, you've mentioned the big project residential development coming up. Any other commercial projects coming up that are big we should know about?
Well, I think less specific, but more in general, I think the challenge we have over the next several decades is to continue to improve our urban cities and then take our suburbs and make them urban and make them work. And if we can do that, we can really address our transportation problem, which I don't think we have. We've cleaned our air very well. Most of the time we get our water, but we've done a lousy job on the traffic. And I think if we can do good land planning, we can help solve the traffic. So I think that's what I see happening over the next 20, 30 years.
Describe what you mean from suburban to urban? How do you take a suburban area and make it urban?
Well,
What would that look like?
You take an existing one-use shopping center, and you add residential, and you add office, and you add hospitality and those type of things, and truly make it an urban downtown in a suburban area.
Kind of like some of the projects that I see around like San Leo Hills and Bressie Ranch and
exactly,
areas like
exactly.
that. Yeah.
Things that you can walk to, you can ride your bike to, you can bring your family, and you don't have to leave. And it's something that you really want to go to. You don't have to get in your car and go 20 miles away. And I think we're going to urbanize our suburbs, and that's going to be very exciting.
And that keeps people closer to home and a little bit less out on the road with traffic. And I'm assuming that's part of the theory there.
It is, and it's all good. If you
Yeah.
you can spend time walking and riding and drinking and eating at Eric's restaurants, it's all good.
Yeah, well, and you know, it also brings more jobs to those areas. It also increases the tax base, which helps the schools in those areas. So, I mean, I just see it as just a win for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
with the weather in the other part of the country, I think a lot of people are thinking about California, especially San Diego right now.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, have you thought about branching out of San Diego in
We
y'all's
do work
operations?
we do work out of San Diego quite a bit, but you can do that with the headquarters in San Diego through the internet or Skype, or every once in a while a flight. I mean, nobody knows where you're calling from.
Right. Interesting. Well, we're starting to run short on time. So, Randy, tell our listeners how they can get a hold of you if they have an interest in Latitude 33.
Our website is Latitude 33 Planning and Engineering. Real simple. And I think you can see our projects all around San Diego with our name on them. So that's
So
an easy way.
anything we need is through your website.
Absolutely.
Latitude 33, where'd that name come from?
Well, again, I'm a geographer, and my
Absolutely.
partner, who no longer with us, but he was a sailor, and we didn't want to have our names on it, our personal names, so we picked San Diego's latitude, which is really 32, but we brought it home, and our wife said 33 sounds better, which is right through Carmel Valley and where the racetrack is, and there you go.
Smart women.
Yeah.
I like it.
Women are much
And
smarter
you're a
than
smart
us.
man to listen to them.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very
Well,
good.
thanks for being with us, Randy.
You're welcome.
Okay. You're listening to Close Up on San Diego Business, where we get up close and personal with homegrown San Diego businesses and the people that are working to make a difference in our community. This is financialnewsandtalk.com. I'm your host, Barry Waxler. We'll be right back after the break with more homegrown business Close Up and Mike Neal.